Hi, Mr. MegaManFan. This is Genesis Does, and today we are looking at Robot Wreckage, which is an early build of a game that, when finally released by Novotrade in 1993, had its name changed to Cyborg Justice. Now, regardless of which version of the game you play, the plot is essentially the same. You are the sole survivor of a ship that crash landed on a mining colony, although the word survivor may be inaccurate because your brain was harvested from your body and put into a cyborg shell to keep it alive. So basically it's a RoboCop plot where there's nothing left of the body except for the brain, and the brain is put into a body whether the person who was found that way wanted it that way or not. In the full version of the game, your protagonist Cyborg can actually pick up the parts of the other robots it's fighting and add them onto its body as upgrades. But in this version, you're only allowed to do that from the beta menu. You can go into the options and change what weapons and legs and other things you're equipped with, but in the actual gameplay, you can't pick up parts of the robots you wreck and use them for yourself. Robot Wreckage seems a fitting title, but I guess they thought Cyborg Justice sounded sexier, so they went with the latter when they finally released it. And it got a wide release. North America, European Union, Australia. I think this game came out pretty much everywhere. Except, interestingly enough, Japan. That may be because Novotrade was based out of Hungary with branches in the United States, and as such they never developed nor intended a game for the Japanese market. So this would have been reverse localized. Instead of going from Japanese to English, it would have had to have gone from English to Japanese, and if they didn't see enough of a market for it, why would they bother to do that? Now, if you don't know the name Novotrade, you might know them by their latter name, Appaloosa Interactive. They developed a couple of Contra games for PlayStation, games that are largely forgotten and not even recognized as part of the canon if you get the Contra collection for PlayStation 4, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, whatever. Those games aren't even referenced or brought up, but I don't think they're such terrible games. Maybe they don't reflect the joy of playing Contra 3 or the original Contra or Operation C on the Game Boy, but I don't think they suck. Certainly not like the last Contra game that officially got released, which I would say is way worse. I mean, playing as a panda bear? Come on now. I'm getting off topic here. What I'm trying to tell you is that I think those games have been given a bad rap, and I would say that Appaloosa / Novotrade has largely been forgotten since they ceased operations in 2006. Their last game was a Jaws game, and since then, they have not been heard from. Getting back to Robot Wreckage, though, you can see some of the early promise that this game had before it was turned into Cyborg Justice. The side-scrolling beat-em-up belt action is not the best, not the worst. It's Double Dragon-esque. I get that very same feeling of playing Double Dragon where when you're moving your protagonist from left to right and you've got a small window of area to move up and down on the screen, you can kind of bully your enemies into corners and beat them up until they fly off the screen, or you can change your position on the axis and make them come up to you and punch. You can punch your way through them before they can get to you, or you can avoid their attacks by hitting them before they get to you and then moving down or up again. So it can be a little bit repetitive. Repetitive doesn't necessarily mean bad, but this game obviously needed some additional features to really become a full-fledged game to sell at retail. As mentioned, the upgradable ability to customize your cyborg was one of those features. They were clearly working on it at the time this beta was released, but they hadn't implemented it into the actual gameplay. Some greater variety of moves would also be appreciated. You've got a jump button and 2 attack buttons, but basically you're just punching and kicking, and if you get a bonus move, it seems to be almost at random. Like, sometimes you can pick someone up and throw them, but I don't ever seem to be able to do it on purpose. It's not like a pro wrestling game where you initiate a grapple and then you hit a combo to do something once you're grappling, like pick them up and slam them. It would be nice if there was that sort of system here, but either it wasn't implemented yet or it doesn't exist, period. And there's also a drop kick, coincidentally enough, speaking of pro wrestling moves, but I never seem to be able to hit the robot enemies with my drop kick. They always are too far away or get out of the way by the time it actually executes, so the timing on it sucks. Don't even bother with the drop kick. You do that by jumping and attacking at the same time. Push both buttons, you'll throw a drop kick. Will it land? Not bloody likely. If you could grapple your opponents and do moves to them, if you could execute special moves with a button combo, that would be great. If the 6 buttons were used, that would be great, but this was clearly designed with a 3-button controller in mind, so there's no extra options for doing blocks or getting special moves off. You just have to work with what you're given, and sometimes that's fine, and sometimes that outright sucks. And one of the times it sucks is when you face the 3rd robot on any stage. There are 3 different kinds of robots in this beta, and there are only 4 stages in total, and they always seem to go in the same order. The first one you can just beat up right away. The second one is a little more crafty and will try to move away from some of your strikes. And the third one is just downright cruel, because whenever you try to throw a punch, he'll immediately step out of the way. And if you get in front of him at the wrong time and he fires off his laser, it's pretty much death instantly. Like, you can't block it, you can't get up before he fires it again. You're just going to get pounded by the laser repeatedly until you're dead, dead, dead. So do yourself a favor when you fight the 3rd robot. If it's the same way in the full game, then take this for that advice. But in this demo, this is definitely what you do when you face the 3rd robot. Never, ever stay in front of him. Use that vertical axis, move up, let him come to you. If you get off a strike, great. If you don't, move back down, let him come to you, do the same thing again. Don't ever stay in front of him for more than a second, because if he gets off that laser, you lose the fight. And doing that enough times, I finally got to the point where I beat it, and then the game immediately cut back to the beta screen with all of the options. Like, it didn't even let me celebrate my victory, it just dumped me back to the menu. Well, that's unrewarding. Thanks a lot. But it's a beta, so what can you expect? That's just it. I mean, it's a beta. This was not meant to be the final version of the game, so obviously they didn't bother to program any victory into the game. Although they did program the ability to play back and record your footage. I guess they thought for review purposes, whoever they sent this beta to might actually need to re-watch their gameplay footage. So in that beta menu, you can actually hit record, play a stage, and you go back to the menu and hit playback, and it remembers all of your button inputs and recreates everything that you just did. That's very unusual for a game of the time. Very forward thinking by Novo Trade. I don't know if that feature made its way into Cyborg Justice, but if you've played this game before and you know that it does exist there, please leave your comments below the video and let me know. Ryan, Bjorn, Billy, I'm looking at you guys. One of you may have played this before. I had never played either version of it before the making of this video, and it's kind of surprising that I don't own a physical copy of Cyborg Justice, given that it's not a ridiculously expensive game. $9 loose, $20 complete. If it's even marginally better than this demo version as Robot Wreckage, I think that would probably be a justifiable purchase. I would enjoy playing Cyborg Justice with the upgradable robot, the side-scrolling belt action fighting, having some actual combo moves that you could do. I can see the potential here. They had something here with Robot Wreckage. It's a good start. It just needed more polish, maybe a little more variety in music, more special moves that you can do instead of just randomly giving them to you without any choice in the matter. I see what they're going for here. Novo Trade, you were on the road to something, and I hope the final product turned out even better. I'm going to have to pick it up sometime and find out. I don't even know where I picked up this ROM because I checked and hiddenpalace.org doesn't have the beta of Cyborg Justice. I looked, it didn't exist. Or my search engine wasn't working properly and it didn't come up, but I did not see a beta version of Cyborg Justice at Hidden Palace, and nearly every beta Genesis game that I've ever played before on this channel came from Hidden Palace, so I can't explain it. Where did I get this mystery beta from? Somebody somewhere had a copy of it, and it ended up in a zip folder, and I opened the zip folder, and there it was, along with some of the other betas I played. Maybe somebody who worked at Novo Trade purposefully leaked the beta version so people could see what they had worked on. You know how programmers are. They like to take credit for the things they've done. They don't like to be anonymous, and if they worked on something, sometimes they'll purposefully leak it years after the game is no longer on the market, and they can't be accused of hurting the commercial value. Like, does anybody think either version of this, Robot Wreckage or Cyborg Justice, has huge commercial value in 2021? It doesn't even have huge reseller value because, again, it only goes for $9 loose and 20 complete, so nobody's clamoring for Cyborg Justice. There's not any cartoon or movie based on this. There's no comic book tie-in. There's nothing here that keeps someone from going, hey, I worked on this game, I'll dump this game, I'll put it out on the internet and let people try what I worked on for so many years from this company based out of Hungary. Yeah, I can see somebody doing that. I see no reason why they wouldn't do that. I'd probably do that in their shoes too. I'd be like, yeah, go ahead and play the beta. It's not going to hurt my feelings whether you buy the full game or not. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This has been Genesis Does. Thanks for watching.